guys. I just got done seeing X-Men First Class, and I wanted to hammer out a quick review for you guys. I want to start off by saying if Darwinism offends you, don't watch this movie. It doesn't say anything bad about religion or anything, but if creationism is the only thing for you, this movie is not for you. Also, if you can't get over the fact that Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Angel, and Beast aren't the original first class of X-Men in this movie, don't go and see it. Alright, man, I had my doubts about this movie. Oh, God, did I have them. And I tried to stay as neutral as I could to the points leading up to this movie coming out into theaters. But I can't lie to you guys, I got pretty excited towards the end. I said to myself, as long as this movie is better than Wolverine Origins, I'll be happy. And oh man, was it better than Wolverine Origins, which wasn't too hard, trust me. If you were one of those people that couldn't stand the first three X-Men movies being about Wolverine, this is definitely the film for you guys, trust me. Michael Fassbender, the guy playing Magneto, completely steals the show of this movie, and I absolutely buy him as a young Magneto 100%. If this movie was just completely about Magneto, I wouldn't blink an eye. I mean, I don't want to give anything away from the movie. I want to keep this as spoil-free as I can. But just what he was doing in the beginning of the movie, the first part of the movie, was freaking awesome. So, Ian McKellen, fantastic Magneto. Michael Fassbender, just as great. Young Magneto in this film, I wasn't quite feeling. But, you know, hey, that's not going to ruin the movie for me. James McAvoy, he pulled off Charles Xavier a lot better than I thought he was going to do. And he played a pretty good loving brother to Mystique, which brings a whole new level to her being a cold-hearted bitch, booby-trapping Cerebro in the first X-Men, which I'm sure they didn't have in mind when they wrote the first X-Men movie, but it completely works. Second to Eric's little quest at the beginning of the movie, my favorite part of this movie had to be when they were just assembling the team. The montage of them assembling the team was just awesome. Which brings me to the rest of the team. Darwin and Havoc were pretty underused. Darwin more so. The actors playing them seemed to play them just fine. They just didn't get a whole lot of screen time, but that's just because the film was about Charles and Eric, Magneto and Professor X. This is the first time I've ever seen the guy who played Banshee. I don't know if it was his acting style or whatever you want to call it, but he was just fucking weird. Not creepy weird, just like goofball kind of weird. I really don't know how to explain it. You just have to see it. And that brings us to the last member, Beast. The actor playing him, Nicholas Hoult, he was a pretty good job of playing Beast. Myself, along with some other fans, be a bit disappointed that he wasn't quite big enough. Because, I mean, even when Beast looked human, he was built like a linebacker. But, I mean, what are you gonna do? They had to have like a big disparity between his human form and his blue form in the movie. So, yeah. And speaking of his beast forms, blue form, his monster form, whatever you want to call it, I hear a lot of people complaining because he looks very feline-like in this movie, as opposed to the more Sasquatch type he looks in X-Men 3, and a lot of people are saying that it's not canon because they can't really believe that he changes from that into a more humanoid-looking form. If you want to get into the arguments of canon, he really actually shouldn't even be blue in this film, considering that we see him on a TV screen in X-Men 2, and he looks just like any normal dude. So you should either be mad that he's blue in this film, period, or just shut the fuck up. Bottom line, if you couldn't tell, I really enjoyed this film. It was better than X-Men Origins Wolverine. It was better than X-Men 3. It completely redeems the franchise in my mind. The way that it ends, it's set up that it could make a sequel, and I mean, that would be cool. They could expand upon some different characters that didn't get a whole lot of screen time in this movie, or they could just leave it alone, and it works just as well either way, and they could never make another X-Men movie, and it would be just fine. So I'm going to give this movie a solid A for having just enough action that it wasn't just drowning out the movie. There's plenty of humor in the film, and just great acting from Fassbender and McAvoy. I think the part where this movie falls short the most is in lack of character development, not just for the X-Kids and Sebastian Shaw's cronies, but also to Xavier's relationship with his love interest. Xavier and Magneto kissing at the end of the film is almost more believable than Xavier and his love interest. But Xavier's kind of a ladies' man in this film, so I can justify it with that. And they already had two other romances going on in the film, so can't really blame them for not throwing in a third one too much. And if you want to stay tuned afterwards, I'm going to have a bit of spoilers afterward. If you want to watch them, just keep listening. If you haven't seen the movie yet and don't want anything spoiled, just turn it off, go see the movie. And if you want to, come back and listen what my 2 cents are. I was genuinely shocked when I saw Wolverine sitting at that counter. Either I wasn't paying attention enough on the web, or they just did a damn good job of keeping his cameo a secret. I mean, I was completely taken aback, and that scene was just hilarious. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the final scene between Magneto and Emma Frost. Epic scene. Awesome. But I wasn't quite feeling Magneto's costume design. The stylized ornament that he had on the front of the helmet, that's from the comic books. Yeah, I get that's a reference, and it's kind of fun to do those things. It just didn't work in the kind of setting that they had. I think that they really just should have had him in what Ian McKellen was wearing in the first X-Men. That's just my opinion.